Hello everyone, you join me working on this DR30 again. So I mentioned in the last video that we was going to do some more clips and videos on this DR30. I'm putting air cups on it now. We've got some adjustable top mounts to show you now. Air cups here from Stance Parts. These are the adjustable top mounts for an R31 Skyline, which is literally the same car as this. That allows us to obviously get a lot more camber because we've got the S13 top hats there and the adjustability doesn't go all the way in. So get a bit more camber with that. These are the air cups off Matt's Skyline. Put a picture up here. They're obviously going on the DR30 now. So the DR30 gets special treatment. The air cups are here. We might extend the lower control arms on this car. Here's some that I've literally just done for a friend of mine. Literally cut and extended them 20mm. Dimple dyed the underneath and they're literally wet now. I've painted them, as you can probably tell. But yeah, we might be doing that to this car here, not sure. If you're not aware of what air cups actually are, so air cups are, well, my favorite thing in the world, because having a static car like this where the car is really, really low, obviously you want to lift it up, but if you put natural air ride on it, your drive height is all messed up and you won't be able to drive a car as low as you want, and you'll always have that like scared cat look. So yeah, air cups actually means you have a traditional coilover. You can set all your stiffness up. You can basically build your car to be a static car, but then the air cup comes in, you can have up to 2 inches of lift. So the 2 inches of lift is usually used for like speed bumps or driveways or jacking the car up. But I personally have used mine with airlifts performance, and you can use them like all the time. So you're not supposed to use air cups all the time, apparently. But I don't see no reason why we can't do it on this one like I've done on mine. I've got a different type of air cup on my Toyota, and they're built for supercars and stuff. So they're quite bougie, but the Stance Parts one, they're the only ones that are really on the market to like general public. So we're just dealing with what we got, but we're gonna run them on the paddle valves instead of like an on-off switch. So the benefit of the paddle valve is we can literally lift it up halfway or full height. So we just hold it on as much as we want it to go up. The traditional kit comes with an on-off switch. You literally push it in, it goes all the way up, push it out, and it comes all the way down. So we want to use it in the middle range so we can get the car really low, 20, 30mm, and then all the way up to 50mm on big bumps. And 2 inches is a lot. 2 inches is a lot. Don't you forget about that. It's actually massive. 2 inches is wham. So obviously with your air cups, you need an air tank. So we have an air tank here, little compressor here. Usually comes with these, I don't know what you call them. They're like solenoids or something. Basically, these regulate the pressure with the buttons and all that sort of stuff. We're not doing this, we're not using these. I've got to order the paddle valves, so I'll show you these later on in the video because they're not here yet. This little setup I use for the Skyline, and it's pretty much gonna fit in this Skyline. Obviously the old Skyline was an R32, and this is an R30. And if we pull it over, you can't see that. It's not the same shape, but you know, from here it doesn't really matter. So that fits nicely in there. Run some wires through the car, which I have already done. One of them goes to the fuse box, one of them goes to the battery. You wire all that to a little relay, link it all up to your paddle valves, find the space for your paddle valves in the dash or under the dash or wherever you want to do it, and you get some air cups. So I'm going to start ripping the car apart and then I'll show you how we fit the air cups. Right, okay, so I'm gonna try and make this quick because I know I like to ramble on a little bit every now and then, and I just wanted to basically summarize what we are doing. If I go on a little bit longer than I normally would, that's because I I like suspension. Suspension is my thing. So, coilovers, air cups, what are we doing now? I know I've already spoken about this before. If you've been watching the channel for like the past year, you'll have probably seen me do the air cups on the last build. So, I'm just gonna quickly gloss over it in a kind of sympathetic way. Sympathetic way. Where do the air cups go? They go on the shaft. Don't laugh. And then, you basically have little O-rings in here and they slide down the shaft and you have to make sure they're all lubed up. Don't laugh again. Basically, that goes on there. Let me just show you. I'll pull this apart now. Right, no top mount now. You got a top cap here. This is like a spring locator. We don't use this with the air cup. The air cup is the spring locator, so you get rid of that. Bear in mind, this is usually 10 mil or 10, 15 mil thickness. So if you take that out, put it back together, the car will drop 10 or 15 mil. So make sure you account for that when you're measuring up and whatnot. Spring out, dust shield off. This is your actual shock, which is nuts. HST got a big shaft. But yeah, I'll stop with the innuendos now, it's making me cringe. The air cup, it's supposed to go on like that. They don't fit. Okay, first hurdle. This shaft, this is the actual, like, usually this would be the chrome bit, the shiny shark, and it would literally be the same size as this bit here. Not on this HSD. This is a HSD for an S13, and, well, clearly it's not really doing what we want it to do. This needs to be like a quarter of the size that it already is, and, well, it isn't. So I've contacted Driftworks because I want to try and get 2 front inserts, but we're not sure we can get those individually. I think they'll fit on the rear, so I think I'm gonna pull the rears out now, have a look, see if they fit, and then hopefully we can just get some inserts for this delivered, and we can have the air cups on the front, because that's put a massive spanner on the works, because I've already run a bunch of wires through the car, got things ordered like airline and fittings and stuff, and if we can't fit the air cups, that is a big pain in the ass, because these are new. Bump stop. We're going to cut this down on this one. Perfect. There you go. So, as you can see, the air cup goes on the shaft like this. So this is what the front shocks are supposed to look like. Basically, there's some O-rings on here, which you probably can see there. Got to make sure those are all lubed up. And then, basically want your spring on there. This air cup goes on like so. Like that. And then, obviously, you just put all your top mount and stuff back together. You put air in through here. And then this, let's see if I can get it pulled apart. See that blue bit? That comes all the way down here. See if I can pull it out. Like that. So that's when you're aired up, you let the air out, and the car drops onto that. So that's how that works basically. We can get them on the rear. Hopefully there's enough clearance on the structure of the body to let us put the rears on. And hopefully you can get some front struts as well, because we don't just want rear air cups, do we? Because that would be a silly idea. So, these things are predominantly run on just droop and compression of this spring. Now in the last video, we put stiff springs on, so our spring isn't actually going to compress too much. So we're solely relying on how much droop we have here. Now droop is basically when you have your car up on the air and the wheel drops, and then you lower it back down on the floor, and then the wheel goes back into the arch. That's what your droop is. That's the amount of droop you have, and that's how much the car will raise. So basically, you can adjust the droop with the spring perch, and if you lower this spring perch down here, the car's gonna lower, and then obviously the car will lower too much. You basically wanna raise it back up with the bottom bracket, and then you can have a fine balance of height and droop at the same time, and then you can get your full range of your air cup motion. There's a few ways to do it, but the best way to do it is dial in a little bit of droop already, obviously level it out both sides, left and right, and then just put it on the car and see where you stand. You can always adjust it afterwards. Make sure everything's all lubed up, so when you're adjusting it on the car, it's not a nightmare. And make sure you PTFE these lines and make sure they're tight. This PTFE fitting that come with this one is absolutely rubbish and I don't like it, but it's not like your traditional air ride where you're using it all the time, so it's not the end of the world if it does leak ever so slightly, but obviously make it not leak, you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm gonna put this together, put it in the car, and I'll catch you in a bit. Air cups in the rear. Nice and snug up there. So at least we got rear air cups, but yeah, I'm still waiting to hear back from Driftworks. We have a pair of air cups. As you can see, it's quite a difference there. Because these came on an R32 Skyline, it's got a dual wishbone suspension, so naturally the shaft through the middle of the coilover is a lot skinnier than S13 one, because the S13 one's a lot bigger because it's got a lot of weight on that area sort of thing. So these will never fit in S13. They'll fit the rear, but not the front. So we had to buy a pair of front air cups. So if you have an R32 Skyline and you need a set of front air cups, let us know. Or S13 rears. These will fit on S13 rears and all that sort of stuff. So I'm gonna chuck these on and I'll put it back together. But first, I've got to mount these on here, right next to each other. This is the bit underneath the steering column. This pops out. This is a removable piece. This is the best way. It sort of sits like that underneath the steering column, and it hides everything out of the way, and I don't have to drill into the dash then. This is just a small little piece, and that's where the paddle valves are gonna live. I got these literally the next day as soon as I ordered them, so thank you to Linebug for sorting these out for me quick time, because I needed them like yesterday anyway, so thank you very much. Some nice square holes there. Watch this. Oh, mint. There we go. Nice. I'm impressed with that. Nice. Have it hidden out of the way. Don't have to worry about it. And I spent most of the time filing that out with this shitty fucking file that doesn't work. Just underneath there, so you can't see it until you get right underneath there. You just lean down. Nice. So air cups on there now. That's obviously all nearly. Bloody hell. What's weird about this setup is you usually don't run the spring locator, but you see that like shank there, just underneath it? That's like a, so you can get like a 22mm spanner on it or something. So there's nothing to stop the air cup going up past that and sliding off the internal shock. So we need this spacer in the middle here. That just goes on there and the air cup could push against that, like that. But if that wasn't there, the air cup would come off the shock and then continue on, because, well, there'd be nothing there, which is very, very weird. It's the first time I've ever had that where I need to put this spacer in. Bit weird, but it does a job. And then we have extended top bats with loads of camber. Set those to there and we'll get it on the car. That's better. Camber-wise, we got a lot more. Now we put the adjustable top mounts on the top. They're in there. We got the air cup up here. We have the roll center adjusters. I had these made by Ain't Dead Yet. If you want any like machining stuff done, let him know because he sorted these out for me. And to be honest, I gave him some horrible measurements and they bolted straight on. So shout out to him. I've still got to set up the air cup height-wise, basically, but I need a baseline to start with. So I basically got the air cup on, wound down the spring a little bit, and we're going to lay it down onto some wood. We do have, obviously, a lot more camber now, so it's going to look like the back, and I think that's pretty spot on. So I'm going to lay it down now, and then get to wiring in the air cups, and we'll see the range of motion that we got. I know what you're thinking, the front is still not low, and that is because I haven't actually lowered the front yet. Well, I have, but I put it back up because we're gonna get it on the trailer in a bit, and at the minute it's a pusher, so I've left it quite high. Don't worry about it, this is literally for trailer purposes. But air cups are working, wired them all in, had to redo a load of stuff because Matt absolutely destroyed the wiring. It's all tucked in there nicely. I just gotta put some tape around the terminals and that's good. It's been a bit of a nightmare to set up, but got there in the end. It's like a proper jiggery pokery and where the suspension wants to sit. But it looks good. And when it is lower, it does look loads better. But at the minute, obviously, it's trailer purposes only. For the sake of the video, I've lowered it back down to an acceptable height, and then I'm gonna risk getting it on the trailer because we think it might go on. I don't know, I'm making it up at this point, but I just wanted to show you that it is not a waste of time. As the last video on this car, a lot of people are like, oh, that was a complete waste of time. It doesn't even look like you can drive it. It wasn't a waste of time. We gained ground clearance and we gained sump clearance. So it wasn't a waste of time. Wasn't as low as I'd like it, which is literally sat on the floor. So it wasn't a waste of time, I promise. There you go. Much better. Now, obviously, the rear has to probably come up. We are having taller tyres, but that is as low as it will go before we start cutting the chassis rails off. And, well, it looks better for it. I know there's still a gap at the front, but there won't be when we get the other wheels, so you got to think about that. But yeah, that's that one's done. It is really low. I can't lie. It is quite literally on the floor. But yeah, what a good car. Nice. If you look at any sort of like 80s Japanese car, like boxy saloon like this, they always have the fitment on the rear like this, and then the front is on just at the top of the tyre. I'll put like a bunch of pictures here. It's the move, that's what's happening. When this has a different set of tyres on, it will obviously look a lot different, but I'm basically trying to make it look how I want it to look on effectively the wrong tyres. I know it's close, but not close enough. The bigger tyres will obviously even it out, basically, is what I'm trying to say. We actually have a dead battery, so raising the air cups up is quite alarming. I don't think there's enough pressure in there, but easy drivable, you know what I mean? Easy drive at that. Obviously you don't drive all the way up, you drive a little bit lower, but it works. That's why we put the paddle valves on there, so we can get it in the mid-range and we can actually see where we want the car, basically. I think that is the last video you'll see on this thing. That's, well, basically done. I'll show you the boot. Nice, tight little, out of the way, full boot space. You know I like my full boot space. Nice tight little setup in there. Jobs are good at. And then for the mid-range, sort of drive it like that. Oh, we've got like dead battery. So we've got no charge. This will be the mid-range, sort of like drive it around like this. Semi-high, just above the top of the tyre. Easy. It's a bit higher on the front normally, but the battery is completely dead because I've been playing around with it all day and the compressor's been kicking in and off, in and off, in and off, in and off. So, that is finished. That's how you ruin a very rare car. Thanks for watching. Goodbye. I had to raise it up and it still doesn't even fit. Ugh. Bye.